What's up, guys? Just a quick little video for, well, it's never a quick video with me, but I wanted to talk about something with freehand sharpening. Not a lot of people really discuss this. A couple people do. Let's look at sharpening. Yeah, I'm going to move this camera back up a bit. Sorry. Let's look at sharpening, knives with different geometry. Okay, as you see, most of the time these Japanese knives, or modern Henkels and stuff that look like Santokus and stuff, really have a very gentle curve to the edge. There's really not much curve. Now, here's something with different geometry. It has almost a slight recurve and then a big old curve right at the end. Alright. Here's another knife without much curve at all to it. Alright. Here's another Japanese knife. Here's a good example of a Japanese knife with no curve, a Yanagi. Single bevel, things are a little different, but these Japanese knives, and now a lot of the Western knives out there, that's kind of becoming the new kitchen knife thing. But if you take like the knife I just showed you, or a pocket knife usually, you're going to have that big curve on it. What I want to discuss is how these curves on the knife affect the way you hold the knife to sharpen. Alright, I think I'm going to have to move the camera up just a little bit more. Like so. Alright. Now, I keep seeing on YouTube, there's a couple different methods people are using for sharpening. Okay. I don't want to name names. Some of them I think are important so you know what I'm talking about, and some of these names not going to remember. But there's a few main ways to do it. Okay. The traditional Japanese way, from what I understand, is your dominant hand here, and this hand is used to push the knife. So you'll see guys doing this. Okay, that's one way. And then maybe they'll switch hands and hit the other side like this. Okay, more commonly you see this way and then switching hand like this. Alright, or if you're left-handed, be that way, switching there. Alright, some guys, Ken Schwartz, a couple others, they switch hands this way. That way, that way. Wow, I just poked myself really bad with the corner of this knife. I do that all the time. That way and that way. Alright. And some guys, here's another variation on this. You'll see someone do one of these, alright, and then when they switch hands, they'll either do it like this, and kind of curve the knife back, or some guys will do it this way, and they'll curve the knife off to the side, okay, almost like a big swooping western stroke. Alright, well, which is better? Nowadays, I'm really seeing a lot of this. A lot of sharpeners getting good results turning the knife back. Alright? And, to be honest with you, it's kind of starting to piss me off. I'm not saying that this is a bad technique. Okay? You're getting out at the tip or whatever. But I want to see someone do that with a knife like this. Alright? So this side of the knife, typical stuff. Kind of a pain, but you can really, overlap the knife and get up to that end. Now, going this way, this becomes crazy because right now, I'm about here on the blade. I need to get way out here, so this knife is going to have to come back that far. And let me tell you guys, that's not easy. This motion right here is much harder to keep an angle than having that whole knife on the stone. You only got this little tiny bit. Alright, it's not as big of a deal when you do that. For some reason it's also not as big of a deal when you come at it this way. But I never see you guys that do this kind of method with a knife with a curve like that. And it really pisses me off. Because all you guys are getting such great results with knives that look like this, that you don't really have to turn the knife that much. And I see guys with knives like this who are rotating the knife way, way back, that far. Really, you should only have to rotate this knife about that far to do it. And I see them go way back like this. It's like, okay, So what are you going to do this with this knife? You know? I don't know. I do mostly pocket knives, and pocket knives tend to have curves like that. You tell me. Alright. What I've been finding lately is that, you know, you're going to get the most consistent bevel doing this. Okay, because you're going to hold the knife at a very consistent angle, going all the way up the blade. Okay, because it's almost like on a grinder, like that Ken Schwartz video. You got to hold it at the tangent to the stone. But that becomes so hard with a more curved knife. You know, lately, I've been just doing one of these. I've been just switching hands. But switching hands has its issues too. When you switch hands, both of your hands are going to get wet. And if you have like a folding knife or a really sensitive handle, you're going to be getting that soaked and probably have stone goo all over it. So yeah, I want to see some videos of some guys with a knife like this doing the pullback. Alright, and I want to see that the knife is sharp right out to the tip, because it's starting to drive me nuts. And I try to explain this to people and they don't understand what I'm saying. So anyway, alright, here's another example. Let me see that pullback method with a knife like this. Alright, I'm starting to come to a conclusion about this method, and that is that people are not just curving this knife back. If it's a knife like this and they get to this point, I think they're actually turning the knife over, you know, by lifting the handle. That's kind of a bit debated topic. Some people say no, you should never lift the handle. Okay? You should always turn the knife, you know, with the edge, turn the knife. But dude, this is impossible. Like, you would have to turn this knife that far and somehow maintain an angle on that tip. It just wouldn't happen. Okay? But you could also hit this tip just by lifting straight up on the handle. Let's zoom in a bit. Okay? You lift straight up on the handle. Look, you're right out at that tip the same way. Alright, and some guys preach that. What's easier? Doing this? Or doing this? I don't know, you tell me. Now, I can get a perfect bevel going this way. You know, I can do it with my eyes closed on any knife. I can get a perfect bevel on that side. The issue has always been the turnover for me. Can't get the same results. I've tried a lot of stuff. Been getting my best results, you know, going this way. And if you look at what I'm doing here, you know, I am actually, I'm doing a bit of both. I'm turning the knife and I am rotating, lifting up the handle. Okay. Another interesting thing is if you actually turn the knife back while you're at the tip, watch what happens. If I do this and I rotate the knife back towards the spine, tip's on the stone. That's one thing you can do. You can just rotate the tip back. Okay. So, I don't know. So there's another example. Knife like this. You know, most non-kitchen knives have curves like that. So, this is a dilemma, guys. Wish there was an easier way to do it. I gotta tell you, I've been practicing freehand sharpening for probably about a year and a half, like consistently. You know, I've been sharpening a little bit before that, but mostly on the Edge Pro and stuff. I didn't really get into freehand sharpening until about last winter. So it's been maybe a year and a half. And, you know, some knives, like this one, I get incredible results with. I have no problem freehanding this knife and most of my Japanese knives. This is a Carter Muteki, in case you can't tell. But I have other knives, you know, like this one I've been showing. I never get good results on this knife. I get good results right up to about here, and then my results are crap. So, I personally believe that not everybody you see on the internet is a good sharpener all the time, you know. Mr. Edgy was probably a really good help for me because he did the kind of alternate route. He does this way when he switches hand. He's left-handed, so it actually looks more like this in practice when he does it. And that way does work, but I don't know. I just haven't really figured out a way I'm comfortable with once the switch happens. So far, it's been right here. But, yeah. Freehand sharpening is an interesting thing. Another fact I'll throw out there, if you guys have ever watched Harleston Stanley, this is all he does. He does just straight pushing out strokes on Shapton glass stones with switching hands. That's all he does. He'll even come in and get the tip just by working it a little bit like that. And if you do that on a nice flat stone, you will get an incredibly flat V edge. Alright? But yeah, so, you know, do you follow the curve of the knife on the stone and push straight in and straight back? Do you kind of do like that U-shaped thing and you sort of do it all by feel and lifting the handle? Okay? Do you switch hands? I don't know. I feel like everyone's different. For me, this method is the easy one for me, and this is where the problems come in. I feel like other people are the other way around. This is where they can do it. I mean, there's also Western strokes, which you would stand sideways in the stone and just kind of do one of these. There's a lot of good sharpeners that do that. Richard Blaine, one of them. So think about these different methods of sharpening. I don't think people ever talk about this. You know, try them all. Okay? I feel like some knives do better with some than others, but you have to be ambidextrous. At some point with some knife, you're going to want to try switching hands. They all have their advantages and disadvantages. No one is a master sharpener all the time, I don't think. Shoot, even in Murray Carter's intro to blade sharpening video, he had that one knife, two knives. He had a buck knife that he had to come back to and redo a couple times because he just couldn't get it. You know, so different ways to hold the knife. Thank you very much.